Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today. Chapter 271, Contest for the Great Tao. For the Taoist Immortal Sect, the Taoist Immortal Scripture is of utmost importance, encompassing many secret techniques and methods of the sect. It even contains essential descriptions of the Tao integration stage. Therefore, within the Taoist Immortal Sect, only the sect master could cultivate the Taoist Immortal Scripture. Even though Mu Mengting had stepped into the refining void, he could not access the Taoist Immortal Scripture before becoming the sect master. This was a rule and ironclad law of the Taoist Immortal Sect, adhered to for hundreds of thousands of years. However, Mu Qinglu knew that rules were made by men. His own grandson, with such terrifying aptitude and fearsome power, could be trusted with the Taoist Immortal Scripture without significant risk. After all, whether it was given or not, Mu Qinglu had no confidence in defeating Lin Yuan. Just, this must not be divulged, and all matters concerning the Taoist Immortal Scripture must not be taught to a second person.
Mu Qinglu spoke.
He could only tolerate Jun Wuji being the sole person privy to the Taoist Immortal Scripture. Agreed. Lin Yuan nodded. The second condition. I want to know everything about the Ascension Platform. Lin Yuan continued. The Ascension Platform is of great significance. The Blood Demon Sea, the Nether Palace, and the Demon Saint's Nest have continuously stirred up wars in the Divine Continent in pursuit of the Ascension Platform. Furthermore, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the Taoist Immortal Sect's control over the Divine Continent was also due to the Ascension Platform. It is said that the Ascension Platform connects to the Spirit Realm. You need not mention this. I would have told you anyway, Mu Qinglu said. Even if he did not inform Lin Yuan. Those three old fellows from the Nether Palace, the Blood Demon Sea, and the Demon Saint's Nest would eagerly tell Master Yuanyang. The third. Lin Yuan paused. The third condition, also critically important, outweighed the previous two combined. I wish to spread martial Tao throughout the Divine Continent. Lin Yuan stated. Implicitly, the Taoist Immortal Sect must not suppress the spread of martial Tao. Martial Tao. Mu Qingliu's expression changed slightly. He knew that many disciples in the White Jade Pavilion of the Eastern Sea were cultivating a system called martial Tao. Mu Qinglu had even observed some techniques of the martial arts system. Martial Tao, being a cultivation system entirely different from the Immortal Path, showed potential that was not much weaker than the Immortal Path. The reason why this time the Taoist Immortal Sect cultivated the second ancient saint, with Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao Immortal Mirror and intending to erase Baiyu Island, was not only because he saw Baiyu Island as an easy target, but because martial Tao posed a certain threat to Mu Qinglu. In the Eastern Sea Islands, with 800 fringe sects and 3,000 left paths, the cultivation systems vary greatly, but they all have obvious flaws and almost never give rise to a being at the refining void ancient saint layer. This was also why the Eastern Sea Islands remained in perpetual chaos, lacking a sufficiently powerful cultivator, thus constantly fractured. But martial Tao. Mu Qinglu was almost certain that cultivating according to the martial Tao cultivation system and producing an ancient saint, or the equivalent of 6th-stage martial Tao, was merely a matter of time. Choose another. That's impossible. Mu Qinglu shook his head. Other matters could be discussed. But allowing the spread of martial Tao.
Absolutely impossible.
In Mu Qingliu's eyes, his greatest concession could be allowing Jun Wuji to become the next sect master of the Immortal Sect. After all, Jun Wuji was a disciple of the Taoist Immortal Sect. With such strength and aptitude, far surpassing Mu Mengting whom he had nurtured. Allowing Jun Wuji to be the next sect master was not a problem, but rather could fully align him with their cause. As for Mu Mengting, he could only be slightly disgraced, serving as the protector of the Daoed immortal sect. Impossible! Lin Yuan's expression remained unchanged. He internally sighed softly. He had anticipated this possibility, as martial Tao and the immortal path were fundamentally different. Simply put, what is the fundament of the Daoed immortal sect? Is it the successive sect masters? Or the endless immortal methods and secret techniques? Neither. The fundament of the Daoed immortal sect is the immortal path. The immortal path for the Daoed immortal sect is as essential as the imperial bloodline in a vast empire. In the empire, anyone can become emperor, provided they possess the imperial lineage. Nowadays, Lin Yuan's attempt to have the Daoed immortal sect permit the spread of martial Tao is akin to undercutting the foundation and changing dynasties. If Mu Qinglu truly agreed to this, he would become the eternal sinner of the Daoed immortal sect. Martial Tao and the immortal path represent two fundamentally different great Dao. Contests between great Dao are exactly like this. As for why body cultivation does not conflict with the immortal path, it's because body cultivation is not a complete cultivation system. Any cultivation system, when developed deeply, enhances oneself all round: body, spirit, lifespan, etc. However, body cultivation only enhances the physical body, unable even to increase the most fundamental lifespan of a cultivator. This means that body cultivation is more akin to a type of secret technique. Not only the immortal path but also martial Tao, demonic Tao, and others could incorporate body cultivation into their domain. Then forget it. Lin Yuan remained calm. His appearance at the meeting with Mu Qinglu was merely a test to gauge the attitude of the Daoed immortal sect towards martial Tao. Lin Yuan had already prepared for failure before he ascended the summit of Yunwu Mountain, having the Taiyin primordial spirit move his parents and siblings to the Eastern Sea in advance. Forget it. Mu Qinglu remained silent. These words marked the failure of their cooperation. Wuji.
Mu Qinglu's gaze suddenly intensified.
The Taihao immortal mirror above his head emitted strands of immortal light. That Master Yuanyang, he must be one of your avatars? Mu Qinglu muttered to himself. The technique of creating avatars is not rare, and the Daoed immortal sect possesses the secret technique to forge avatars. Chapter 272. However, to refine an avatar, one must pay a huge price, and in the end, one has to split off a portion of their own soul and infuse it into the avatar body. Losing a portion of one's soul means a decrease in the cultivation speed and perception among other aspects. Therefore, Mu Qinglu did not cultivate the avatar technique. He wielded the Taihao immortal mirror, and in today's world, no matter the distance, he could instantly form an incarnation with the mirror, which was not much different from an avatar. Today, I want to see, Wuji, just how strong you have become after all this time of restraint. Mu Qinglu suddenly stood up, and above his head, the Taihao immortal realm shone brightly. At the foot of Yunwu Mountain, Chunhua and Shoyue, two golden core female cultivators, were whispering to each other. The young master has been up there for so long. Why hasn't he come down yet? Perhaps he is talking with the sect leader, after all. The young master has not gone out for a long time. Indeed, but the fact that the sect leader is willing to talk so much with the young master shows they must have feelings. While chatting, Chunhua and Shoyue glanced toward the top of Yunwu Mountain. Suddenly, a terrifying fluctuation transmitted from the mountaintop. Instinctively, Chunhua and Shoyue looked up. They were instantly so shocked that their jaws dropped. They saw two figures soaring into the sky from the top of Yunwu Mountain. The one on the left was the immortal sect leader, Mu Qinglu, with the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao immortal mirror, radiating boundless light and boundless calamity, his presence overwhelming. The figure on the right seemed to possess supreme strength, with raging blood energy and rolling crimson clouds drowning the area within 100,000 miles. With the Taihao immortal mirror above his head, the immortal sect leader, Mu Qinglu, appeared like a ship that could capsize at any moment among the vast sea of blood and energy, swaying unsteadily. The key puzzlement for Chunhua and Chuyue was that the figure overpowering the sect leader seemed to be their young master, Jun Wuji. Was the young master fighting the sect leader? It seems the sect leader couldn't defeat the young master. Chunhua and Chuyue opened their mouths wide. The moment Mu Qinglu and Lin Yuan clashed, terrifying fluctuations spread in all directions. West of Divine Continent. Demon Saint's Nest. The Demon Saint was pondering the strength of Master Yuan Yang, who could block a strike from Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao Immortal Mirror, when suddenly, "What is that?" The Demon Saint's expression suddenly changed. He clearly felt two powerful auras clashing in the center of Central Divine Continent. One aura, boundless light and boundless calamity, illuminating every corner of the world, should indeed be Mu Qinglu. As for the other aura, blood energy pervaded, shaking Central Divine Continent. Despite the infinite power of the Taihao Immortal Mirror surpassing the limits of the refining void period, it still seemed unstable amidst the terrifying blood energy. Who could it be? Who could be suppressing Mu Qinglu in Central Divine Continent? The Demon Saint was truly scared. That was Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao Immortal Mirror, with divine might covering the world, unrivaled by anyone. When had he ever been so suppressed, especially at his own doorstep? Show yourself. The Demon Saint took a deep breath and reached out in front of him. He was activating some secret technique to project the scene of the great battle in the center of the Divine Continent here. Whoosh! A series of ethereal images slowly emerged. It was a battlefield located in the 9 heavens. The rolling crimson clouds, the pure red blood energy nearly drowning everything. But the Demon Saint vaguely noticed a mighty man standing at the center of this ocean of blood. He stood tall, swinging a certain type of fist technique, pressing down on the Taihao Immortal Mirror and Mu Qinglu agonizingly. Every punch the man threw created a faint fist imprint on the body of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, which would instantly heal. But this was the Taihao Immortal Mirror, a Dao Integration Period immortal artifact. It was supposed to be indestructible. Overwhelming blood energy? Is it the body cultivation lineage? No, it's not just that. The Demon Saint swallowed nervously. It had been a very long time since he felt such fear, but seeing that mighty man now, the Demon Saint's mind trembled. Who could it be? Who could it be? The Demon Saint continued to stimulate the secret technique, and the image gradually became clearer, revealing the mighty man's features. It's... The Demon Saint widened his eyes. As an ancient saint of refinement void, his memory was incredibly strong. Every time he awoke, he would recall the faces of all slightly notable cultivators from the Dao Immortal sect in Central Divine Continent. And at this moment, the face of that mighty man was none other than that of Jun Wuji, regarded as a waste by the Dao Immortal sect due to his lack of spirit root qualifications? How is this possible? The Demon Saint was dumbfounded, unable to respond for a long time. Is it Jun Wuji? How is he so powerful? In the Blood Demon Sea, the Lord of the Blood Demons was also feeling waves of shock in his heart. He had tried before to win over Jun Wuji, through whom he could gain favor with Jun Dongjin. He was thus quite familiar with Jun Wuji, having paid close attention to him. But now, the Lord of the Blood Demons trembled in fear. The lineage of the Blood Demons, most afraid of the utmost rigid and yang blood energy. Although the Lord of the Blood Demons had extremely strong life-saving measures, claiming that as long as the Blood Demon Sea exists, he could not die. Seeing that towering figure enveloped in towering blood energy, the Lord of the Blood Demons felt that if he were in Mu Qingliu's position, even his vast Blood Demon Sea would be evaporated by that boundless blood energy. Jun Wuji, I never expected you to have hidden so deeply. The Blood Demon Lord steadied his mind. At that moment, he suddenly thought of the blood-red figure he had sent to win over Jun Wuji. The blood-red figure had died very quickly, and the Blood Demon Lord had thought it was just bad luck, discovered by Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao Immortal Mirror. But now, it seemed likely that the blood-red figure had died at the hands of Jun Wuji. Fortunately, The Blood Demon Lord looked at the ongoing fight, or rather it was Jun Wuji dominating Mu Qinglu, and for some reason he felt relieved. Even though he didn't know why Jun Wuji was fighting with his grandfather Mu Qinglu. But this was a good thing, given the strength that Jun Wuji had displayed. If anyone teamed up with Mu Qinglu, no, even without teaming up, if Jun Wuji harbored killing intent towards them, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he wanted to. The other ancient saints of Refinement Void could possibly hide in some corner and cling to life. But since he was merged with the Blood Demon Sea, he couldn't escape, and was too obvious a target, practically a living target. Nether Palace. The emaciated man's forehead vaguely oozed cold sweat. He didn't have a physical body, existing only as a soul form, and shouldn't even be capable of cold sweat. But feeling the intensity of the fight between Lin Yuan and Mu Qinglu about blew his scalp off. Such vast and relentless vitality. If it came to suppress him, the emaciated man didn't dare to imagine the consequences. As the king of ghost cultivators, he possessed a certain immortality trait. But even immortality had its limits. Being swept with that boundless vitality once would strip him of a layer of skin. Swept a few more times and he probably would indeed die. Retreat! 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 The emaciated man immediately controlled the Nether Palace to flee towards the utmost southern direction. He was truly afraid. Above the 9 heavens, Mu Qinglu, with the Taihao immortal mirror above his head, struggled to defend. Wuji! How is Wuji so strong? Mu Qingliu's expression was ugly. He had originally thought that much of Jun Wuji's strength resided in Master Yuan Yang. His sudden attack. Not to mention defeating the adversary, at least he expected to regain some face. Being inferior to his own grandson was not a good thing for a grandfather. But the reality was the opposite. In merely an instant of contact, he was suppressed by Lin Yuan, and he hadn't had a chance to counterattack since then. It wasn't that he didn't want to counterattack, but that he simply couldn't. We can't drag this on. Mu Qinglu made up his mind. Although with the help of the Taihao immortal mirror, he could still hold on. Continuing like this wasn't good. Let's return to the Dowd immortal sect.
Mu Qinglu sighed.
For the first time in tens of thousands of years, the leader of the sect was forced to retreat to his own sect's gate by an outsider. Whoosh! The Taihao immortal mirror suddenly emitted boundless light, breaking through layers of vitality. It shot towards Mount Morality Immortal. Seeing this, Lin Yuan followed closely. Mount Morality Immortal. Immortal chi filled the air. But at this time, the entire sect was as if facing a great enemy. The sect master's terrifying battle in the sky above the cloud-mist-blessed land was naturally sensed early on by many disciples nearby Mount Morality Immortal. Many elders and the supreme elders all began to activate the sect protection array. A beam of mirror light fell from above. The Taihao immortal mirror, as the pivot of the sect's great formation of Mount Morality Immortal, could ignore many of the sect's formations and directly enter. Quickly activate the 9 heavens defense array, the 10 earths thick soil array, the 5 elements rotation array, the yin-yang integration array. Mu Qinglu, in a rush, activated the Taihao immortal realm, turning on all the countless arrays the Dowd immortal sect had accumulated over tens of thousands of years. The next moment, whoosh, like the dawn sky, boundless and unparalleled, the brilliant and startling torrents of vitality submerged Mount Morality Immortal. Chapter 273, Trinity. Mount Morality Immortal stood majestic and grand. It stood at the center of the central divine continent, like a colossal pillar supporting the heavens. In fact, for tens of thousands of years, the Dowd immortal sect had been situated upon this mountain, overlooking all beings from its lofty height. However, today, the pillar that countless cultivators of the central divine continent looked up to was now submerged in surging vital energy. The sound of rushing water echoed. Brilliant and shocking vital energy, mighty and overwhelming, collided fiercely with the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal. At every instant, A vast amount of vital energy evaporated while also causing numerous sections of the sect protection array to collapse. Still, the submerging vital energy engulfing Mount Morality Immortal did not show any signs of slowing, seeming endless and boundless. What's going on? Has someone dared to attack the Dowd Immortal sect? This red vastness is the power of vital energy? How can there be such immense vital energy? Most of the Dowd Immortal sect disciples had yet to react. Just moments ago they were cultivating in their own caves, and the next they felt terrifying fluctuations coming from the direction of the cloud mist-blessed land. Then, this was the scene they were faced with now. The Grand Mount Morality Immortal had been submerged in surging vital energy, and at this moment, countless formations within the mountain were activated, resisting the erosion of the vital energy. Did it hold? Upon seeing this, sect leader Mu Qinglu, not knowing why, felt a sigh of relief deep inside.
Yun Wuti.
Mu Qingliu's expression was grave as he looked towards the depths of the Red Ocean. He could feel that Jun Wuji was there, silently watching Mount Morality Immortal. Sect leader, what exactly happened? At that moment, Mu Mengting rushed over, hurriedly asking. His face looked pale as he glanced at the red twilight enveloping Mount Morality Immortal, unable to suppress the trembling in his heart. If it weren't for the sect's great formations shielding them, with his early refined void stage strength, he probably would have been melted by the red twilight in no time.
It's Yun Wuti. Mu Qinglu spoke tersely.
At this moment he did not want to say much. Dowd Immortal sect was facing the greatest crisis in tens of thousands of years, and most of his attention was on maintaining the sect protection array. Jun Wuji, the youngest son of Jun Dongjin? Wasn't he spiritless? Mu Mengting had already seen the person confronting Mu Qinglu and, with the abilities of an ancient saint of refinement void, identifying him wasn't difficult. But the greater the certainty, the more incredulous Mu Mengting became.
Yun Wuti.
The very Jun Wuji he had never even considered a threat? How could he be so strong? How could he be so strong? Mu Mengting couldn't accept it. It was as if an ant he had never bothered to glance at had suddenly become a god capable of reaching the heavens, this reversal nearly inducing a heart demon in Mu Mengting. How would I know?
Mu Qinglu spared Mu Mengting a glance.
That was indeed the case. The one now blocking the entrance to Dowd Immortal sect and almost suppressing Mount Morality Immortal with his singular might, was none other than his former grandson, an individual who had always been inconspicuous and had never received much attention, a third-generation immortal. The rumble of thunder reverberated. Boundless vital energy spread out. Lin Yuan slowly emerged, overlooking the entirety of Mount Morality Immortal. At this moment, Mount Morality Immortal unleashed its formidable potential under his gaze, defensive formations sparking to life, intermingling and blending with one another, and connecting with the ley lines of the central divine continent.
Yun Wuti.
Mu Mengting looked up at the figure above, his thoughts turbulent.
Yun Wuti.
Is he Jun Wuji, the youngest son of Lord Jun Dongjin? Countless Dowd Immortal sect disciples also saw Lin Yuan, stunned and unprepared for the entity displaying such overwhelming combat power to be the third-generation immortal who had grown up on Mount Morality Immortal. Many of the disciples had interacted with Jun Wuji before. At that time, Jun Wuji, with his powerful background, was untouchable, yet he was incapable of cultivation and thus looked down upon by many of the sect's disciples. But now, looking up at Jun Wuji, who stood high above like a true immortal from the upper realms, many disciples felt as if they were dreaming. Let's see if we can break through. Lin Yuan observed Mount Morality Immortal closely below. Merely eroding it with vital energy was insufficient to handle Dowd Immortal sect. Lin Yuan needed to take action himself. Boom! Lin Yuan raised his hand. He shot his hand toward Mount Morality Immortal from afar. Hum! The red twilight rolled, endless vital energy concentrated, forming a 100-mile-wide hand that smacked down toward Mount Morality Immortal. Inside the sleeve space, Jun Dongjin, Mu Liener, along with Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan, a family were anxious. Husband, what exactly is going on? Mu Liener asked softly, her mind tense ever since she was taken into the sleeve space. Although Mu Liener was sure that the one who took them away must be her younger son, Jun Wuji, it only led to more questions. Why could her younger son take them away? Why did the divinity transformation stage Heaven Lord Guardians outside not stop him? And could such top-grade immortal techniques as Sleeve Universe, which only divinity transformation stage Heaven Lords can execute, be performed by him? One question after another deeply puzzled Mu Liener. My little brother, when did he become so strong? Even Sleeve Universe has been executed by him. Jun Jilan couldn't help but speak out. In her eyes, her little brother Jun Wuji had always been someone she needed to protect. Now, he suddenly used Sleeve Universe, a technique exclusively for Heaven Lords. Jun Jilan herself was only at the nascent soul stage. Despite this, she was considered a genius within the sect. Could it be that my little brother has some hidden spirit root, has been secretly cultivating, and now that he's entered the divinity transformation phase, he has finally asked the sect master to take us away? Jun Xiaoyao speculated after a moment. Chapter 274. So far, that is the most likely possibility. Hidden spirit roots. Such cases have occurred a few times in the central divine continent over tens of thousands of years, but the possibility is so small that everyone has not considered this. Divinity transformation stage? Do you think this is the space manipulation of the divinity transformation stage? At this moment, Jun Dongjin, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. Ah? Isn't space manipulation something that only cultivators in the divinity transformation stage can perform? Could it be that there are special methods that allow one to use space manipulation at the nascent soul stage or even the golden core stage?
Yun Xiaoyao and Yun Shilen asked.
If that were indeed the case, it would be much more acceptable. Even if Wuji had hidden spirit roots, advancing to the divinity transformation stage in just over 100 years was still too frightening. The golden core stage or the nascent soul stage would be much more reasonable. At least that is the level at which Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan themselves are. So that's how it is. Mu Liener suddenly realized in her heart. But even she, as the sect master's personal daughter, had never heard of any method that could lower the threshold for using such a high-grade divine skill as space manipulation. The essence of space manipulation is an understanding of space. Without reaching the divinity transformation stage, who could clearly perceive space and utilize it? You misunderstand my meaning. Jun Dongjin glanced at the others, suppressing the shock in his heart. A Mahayana phase Heaven Lord, even when using space manipulation, can at most encompass 1 mile within. Jun Dongjin paused for a moment and took a deep breath before continuing. An ancient saint of refinement void, if performing space manipulation, could reach 100 miles within. After saying this, Jun Dongjin stood up and looked around. He looked at the space inside the sleeve where they found themselves. Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan also looked around. As far as the eye could see, vast and endless. Is it not tens of thousands of miles? East Sea. At the core area of Baiyu Island, Lin Yuanyang stood with his hands behind his back. A figure appeared. It was the Tai-Yin primordial spirit. Whoosh! With a wave of the Tai-Yin primordial spirit's hand, Jun Dongjin and the other 3 appeared. Where is this? Jun Dongjin cautiously looked around. Mu Liener, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan were still immersed in the shock that the space inside an ancient saint of refinement void sleeve could be only 100 miles. Dad, Mom, Big Brother, Second Sister, I have something urgent. I will leave first and explain when I come back, said the Tai-Yin primordial spirit with a faint smile. The Tai-Yin primordial spirit disappeared with the Taiyang divine spirit from Baiyu Island. After 100 years of preparation, Baiyu Island, even when besieged by several ancient saints of refinement void, could hold out for a considerable amount of time. It would be possible to penetrate Baiyu Island only if the Taoist immortal sect master holding the Taihao immortal mirror made a full-force strike. But now, the immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu and the Taihao immortal mirror were both blocked by Lin Yuan within the immortal sect. can be said that Bayou Island is currently one of the safest places in the world. Mount Morality Immortal. Life force surging endlessly, boundless and infinite. Lin Yuan looked down from above, striking repeatedly with dozens of slaps, yet still unable to shake Mount Morality Immortal. It really is like a turtle shell, remarked Lin Yuan calmly. Mount Morality Immortal is connected to the largest ley line of the central divine continent. Attacking the mountain is akin to attacking the entire continent, dispersing the force endlessly. Indeed, Lin Yuan had means to break through Mount Morality Immortal, namely by destroying the central divine continent inch by inch. Without the central divine continent, the defensive power of Mount Morality Immortal would plummet. However, this method was tantamount to achieving a Pyrrhic victory. Without the central divine continent, Lin Yuan's martial path evolutionary path would also be difficult to spread. Inside Mount Morality Immortal, Mu Qinglu, seeing Lin Yuan cease his attack, sighed with relief again, even though he had great faith in the sect's defenses, believing that only a Dao integration stage powerhouse could potentially breach them with some effort. Seeing the maneuvers displayed by Lin Yuan still filled him with dread. We held strong. Next to him, Mu Mengting finally let go of his hanging heart. At this moment, his thoughts were extremely complex. Wuji, once considered beneath his notice, had brought him an overwhelming sense of oppressiveness. Sect Master, what do we do now? Mu Mengting whispered. Although Mount Morality Immortal had blocked Lin Yuan's attack, but with Lin Yuan blocking the entrance outside, they couldn't leave either. What can we do?
Mu Qinglu sighed.
We can only continue to withstand it like this, Mu Qinglu said softly. With the attack Lin Yuan had unleashed, among the Taoist immortal sect, only he, with the Taihao immortal mirror in hand, might be able to hold out if he went outside. The other disciples, including Mu Mengting, the newly promoted ancient saint, would certainly die if they went outside. Our immortal sect has profound foundations. Just as Mu Qinglu was about to speak and boost the morale of the many immortal sect disciples, at that moment, from two other directions of Mount Morality Immortal, within the vast expanse of surging scarlet energy and blood, two figures emerged. One exuded the aura of the power of Taiyang akin to a great sun falling to the human world, precisely Master Yuanyang from Bayou Island. The other, in every move, was wrapped in the endless energy of Tai-Yin, like the bright moon shining, their presence not the slightest inferior to that of Master Yuanyang beside them. Is that the mysterious ancient Saint Tai-Yin? No good. This ancient Saint Tai-Yin is also one of Jun Wuji's avatars. Mu Qinglu's expression drastically changed and immediately urged the Taihao Immortal Mirror to activate the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal to its ultimate extent. Boom! The Tai-Yin Primordial Spirit and the Taiyang Divine Spirit joined hands, merging the power of Tai-Yin and power of Taiyang into the power of Taiji, and formed a black and white yin-yang great grinding disc that rolled toward the base of Mount Morality Immortal. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan himself made another move. With overwhelming and astonishing life force, he struck Mount Morality Immortal once again. Master Yuanyang and that ancient Saint Tai-Yin are both avatars of Jun Wuji? In the west of Divine Continent, the color drained from the demon saint of the demon saint's nest. The sequence of events that had unfolded today far surpassed the shocks he experienced over the past hundreds of thousands of years, even exceeding the era tens of thousands of years ago when figures surpassing the void refinement limit were commonplace. First was Master Yuanyang, revealing a combat power that surpassed the void refinement limit and easily blocking a strike from Mu Qinglu with the Taihao Immortal Mirror in hand. Next was the man whom everyone saw as a waste, who inexplicably started a fight with his own grandfather. But what was unbelievable was that Jun Wuji was actually overpowering his grandfather in the fight, overwhelming the immortal sect leader holding the Taihao Immortal Mirror. In the end, the immortal sect leader, left with no alternative, fled into Mount Morality Immortal, and with the centuries-old foundation of the Taoist Immortal Sect, barely resisted the killing power of Jun Wuji. And then Master Yuanyang arrived. The mysterious ancient Saint Tai-Yin also arrived. The three stood in three respective directions around Mount Morality Immortal, and although they had different auras, they could easily merge into one. It was clear that the three were actually one person. At this moment, the demon saint was deeply shaken. He could never have dreamed that Jun Wuji had hidden so many trump cards. In the south of Central Earth, the emaciated man known as the Ghost Cultivator King felt numb all over. He had planned to flee towards the far south, but now, seeing Jun Wuji suppressing the entire Dao Immortal sect and that Master Yuanyang, as well as the ancient Saint Taiyin, were all closely related to Jun Wuji, the emaciated man suddenly lost all interest in fleeing. If it were only Master Yuanyang, a figure who surpassed the void refinement limit, he might have had some hope of escape if he desperately fled south. But three of them, especially since these three were likely the same person, the Ghost Cultivator King no longer felt like running, because it was pointless. No matter where he fled within this realm, it made no difference. With the combat power Jun Wuji had unleashed now, the ends of the earth were merely under his feet. How could such an aberration be born in this world? The Ghost Cultivator King sighed deeply, gazing distantly towards the direction of Mount Morality Immortal. Compared to his current situation, the predicament of the Dao Immortal sect was undoubtedly many times worse. In the Blood Demon Sea, the Blood Demon Lord was trembling with unease. How could it be so powerful? The Blood Demon Lord knew many things about the past hundreds of thousands of years ago, but even back then, while mighty beings that surpassed the void refinement limit weren't rare, someone with terrifying power like Lin Yuan was perhaps only one or two, right? Mount Morality Immortal. The dreadful immortal light formation was nearly capable of piercing through space. As Mu Qinglu personally urged the Taihao Immortal Mirror, seated at the central hub of the Immortal Mountain. The next moment, the Yinyang Taiji Great Grinding Disc crushed downward. Chapter 275. In a hurry for a century, numerous beings all watching one person. For a moment, heaven and earth seemed to collapse. It was as if all things were destroyed. Lin Yuan gathered his two primordial spirits, and with all his might he struck. He completely surpassed the 6th rank limit, and purely in terms of might, perhaps he was already close to the 7th rank. A moment later, the nature's spiritual energy gradually calmed. Lin Yuan looked down. It's a pity. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. His full-strength attack had still not breached Mount Morality Immortal. Well then, Lin Yuan did not care much. The Dao Immortal sect, with its inheritance spanning hundreds of thousands of years, had profound secrets, and unless a Unity Realm true immortal or a 7th rank evolver intervened, it would be very difficult to completely break through their sect protection array. Lin Yuan's visit this time was not to permanently resolve the Dao Immortal sect. Instead, it was to test his own strength, using the entire Dao Immortal sect as a standard to measure against. Although I can't break it, I have almost done it. As long as I cultivate to the peak of the 6th rank, full force, my attack might touch upon the 7th rank. By then, I should be able to completely break through Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan looked down at Mount Morality Immortal, pondering to himself. Of course, the premise of Lin Yuan's prediction is that the legendary spirit realm does not intervene. The Dao Immortal sect controls the Ascension platform, and its past ancient saints, after leading the sect for 10 or 20,000 years, ascend to the spirit realm via the platform. Tens of thousands of years ago, many powerful beings from that era, some surpassing the void refinement limit, have already ascended to a higher level of the spirit realm through the Ascension platform. In the spirit realm, it's almost certain that there resides a Unity Path stage true immortal. However, the Ascension platform is a one-way passage. The former members of the Dao Immortal sect who ascended can't return from there. This is also why Lin Yuan dared to take action against the Dao Immortal sect. With the two realms separated, even if they could intervene, the force they could exert would be very limited, and Lin Yuan, being undefeated in this realm, has nothing to fear from them. Let's go back. Lin Yuan glanced at the Dao Immortal sect beneath him, and then he disappeared. Actually, Lin Yuan could have left behind a Yang spirit or a Yin god to continue suppressing the Dao Immortal sect. But there was no need. With the combat power he had just displayed, even without leaving a suppressive avatar, the disciples of the Taoist immortal sect would probably not dare to venture out for a long time, especially those nascent soul-true monarchs and Mahayana heavenly monarchs. Even if you gave them 10 times the courage, they wouldn't dare step outside the bounds of Mount Morality Immortal. So, in that case, it might as well be that both of his primordial spirits return together, as training the primordial spirit could also improve Lin Yuan's efficiency in understanding Tao. Accompanied by Lin Yuan's departure, within Mount Morality Immortal, countless immortal sect disciples cried tears of relief. Just now, they really felt the threat of death, thinking the Taoist immortal sect, with its heritage of hundreds of thousands of years, might actually not withstand the attack of that yin-yang great grinding disk. But now, Mount Morality Immortal had not been breached, and that figure, standing high in the sky, looking down on them like a true immortal Wuji, had also disappeared, likely having left. We have survived. Ha ha ha. I knew my life wasn't supposed to end. We survived, we really survived. Countless immortal sect disciples couldn't help but celebrate wildly. From life to death, and from death back to life, such great fluctuations, even for cultivators, could inevitably affect their state of mind. Survived. Above in the sky, Jun Wuji watched the disciples' wild celebration and couldn't help feeling a bit bitter. Since when had the lofty disciples of the Taoist immortal sect expressed such sentiments? Go find the sect master. He composed himself and immediately flew towards the top of Mount Morality Immortal. For ordinary disciples, indeed, they had survived. But for the higher-ups of the immortal sect, it was just the beginning. What the immortal sect needs to do next is crucial. Wuji had only left, not died. It was far from a time for celebration. The Grand Hall at the top of Mount Morality Immortal. Sect Master Mu Qinglu sat in the main seat, his eyes closed, frowning in deep thought. Sect Master. Mu Mengting appeared in the hall, bowing slightly to Mu Qinglu.
Mengting.
Mu Qinglu opened his eyes and looked at Mu Mengting. Observing the respectful demeanor of Mu Mengting, Mu Qinglu subconsciously compared him to Jun Dongjin, and found the two simply couldn't compare. Did I really choose wrong? Mu Qinglu thought silently to himself. If he had not chosen Mu Mengting to be the next immortal sect leader, but had chosen Jun Dongjin instead, would they have avoided the disaster that had just befallen the Taoist immortal sect? Although it's true that Lin Yuan wanted to spread martial Tao, a point on which he definitely won't compromise, and neither would the Taoist immortal sect. If Jun Dongjin had been the leader of the immortal sect, there would have been at least some room for easing the situation, instead of it escalating to direct conflict like just now. Sect Master, what should we do now? Mu Mengting asked cautiously. What should we do? Mu Qinglu focused his thoughts. Wuji's strength is beyond us now. We can only seek the advice of our ancestors. The ancestors' opinions? Mu Mengting's eyes lit up. The Taoist immortal sect had been inherited for hundreds of thousands of years and had no less than 30 generations of leaders. On average, each leader ruled the immortal sect for only 10 to 20,000 years. Why is that? It must be known that an ancient saint of refinement void's lifespan far exceeds 20,000 years, as the three ancient saints from the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, and Demon Saint's Nest have lived from that era until now. It's not difficult for an ancient saint of refinement void to live for several 100,000 years. But in reality, the Taoist immortal sect has had many leaders, and the reason is the spirit realm. The Taoist immortal sect controls the Ascension Platform, a passage linking to the spirit realm, and its past leaders ascended to the spirit realm through it. Chapter 276. It is said that the cultivation environment in the spirit realm, you should not have too many expectations for the ancestors. The ancestors residing in the spirit realm find it difficult to intervene in the lower realms. Mu Qinglu shook his head. If the ancestors could intervene in Central Divine Continent, then the Demon Saint's Nest, Nether Palace, and Blood Demon Sea would have been flattened long ago. How could they still exist today? Bayou Island.
Yun Dongin, Mu Liene, Yun Xiaoyao, and Yun Shilen.
They were anxiously waiting, speculating uneasily. Is this Bayou Island? The territory of Master Yuanyang? Does Wuji also have a connection with Master Yuanyang? The shock in Jun Dongjin's heart never ceased. Although he had vaguely guessed from Lin Yuan Taiyin Primordial Spirit's display of Universe in the Sleeve that his youngest son, Jun Wuji, might be far stronger than they imagined, yet until they received Jun Wuji's personal confirmation, they could not be sure. At that moment, Lin Yuan appeared not far away. Wuji, younger brother.
Muligene, Yun Shilen, and Yun Xiaoyao Ran o Afiest.
What exactly is going on? The person who met us earlier, why does he look like you? Jun Jilan couldn't help but ask. That was one of my, let's say, avatars. Lin Yuan thought for a moment and explained. The martial path evolutionary path's martial Tao primordial spirit indeed resembled an avatar. Only it did not require the same price as cultivating an avatar. Next, Lin Yuan disclosed everything truthfully. Like his true strength, both the so-called Master Yuanyang and Ancient Saint Taiyin were his avatars. As for why he possessed such power, Lin Yuan explained that in his childhood, some memories suddenly emerged in his mind. Those memories contained some incomplete cultivation methods. Anyway, it was mostly true with a bit of falsehood. I have read in some ancient scriptures that before the appearance of the Ascension platform, those capable of exceeding the void refinement limit faced the end of their lifespans and would attempt reincarnation. Wuji, you must be the reincarnation of some powerful being. However, the theory of reincarnation is elusive and includes grappling with the mystery in the womb. That powerful being's true self might have already dissipated, leaving only some memories for you, Wuji, to take in. Jun Dongjin pondered for a while and then spoke. Although the theory of reincarnation was elusive, it truly existed. In the history of the Taoist Immortal sect, it had taken in some exceptionally precocious disciples. These disciples were innately knowledgeable, and visions of another world would often flash through their minds. Young brother, are you saying that you just visited Mount Morality Immortal and almost breached it?
Yun Shilen blinked his.
She understood every word Lin Yuan said. But when combined, why did it seem so alien? I took action against the Taoist Immortal sect with no ill intentions, only to prove my strength in preparation for spreading the martial Tao. Lin Yuan stated truthfully. If one wanted to spread the martial Tao, relying solely on kinship and words was futile. The Taoist Immortal sect had the backing of the spirit realm ancestors. So Lin Yuan never intended to eradicate Mount Morality Immortal. After all, Lin Yuan could only stay in this world for 500 years, and even if he did destroy the Taoist Immortal sect, 500 years later, after Lin Yuan left this world, the Taoist Immortal sect's spirit realm ancestors could easily make a comeback and re-establish the Taoist Immortal sect. Even for a unity realm true immortal, spanning two realms to break through world barriers and intervene in the lower realms is extremely challenging. At most, they could employ some minor tricks. Such tactics might be sufficient to deal with ordinary beings who had surpassed the void refinement limit, but against Lin Yuan they were utterly ineffective. However, with Lin Yuan present for the next 500 years, there was no need to worry about the martial Tao. But what about after 500 years? Thus, the real purpose of Lin Yuan's actions was to force the hands of those ancestors from the Taoist Immortal sect in the spirit realm. As for why he did not use more peaceful methods, such as speaking frankly with Mu Qinglu, there really was no difference. If Lin Yuan lacked sufficient strength, even if he appeared in a peaceful demeanor, he would still face suppression from the Taoist Immortal sect. Conversely, if Lin Yuan demonstrated the ability to annihilate the Taoist Immortal sect in this realm, no matter what he did, as long as he did not cross a line, there would be room for negotiation. Moreover, Lin Yuan had another motive. That was to avenge his parents. It was the Taoist Immortal sect's mistake in choosing the wrong person. Wuji, you do as you see fit. Jun Dongjin looked at his son and said, having experienced the peak and the potential of becoming the next sect master within the Taoist Immortal sect, as well as the lows, having spent a century at the remote vast cliff mountain, he had seen through many things. After explaining everything to his parents, elder brother and elder sister, Lin Yuan personally arranged a residence for them on Bayou Island. Bayou Island brimmed with dense spiritual energy. Even though it was not Mount Morality Immortal, it was a match for any paradise in the central divine continent. It was much better than the remote vast cliff mountain. With his parents cultivating here, Lin Yuan felt very relieved. Several months later, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged inside his cave dwelling. Nearby, a man in a blood-red robe bowed respectfully. "I have seen you, my lord." This man in the blood robe was indeed the master of the Blood Demon Sea. After spending several tense months in the Blood Demon Sea, he had decided to pay Lin Yuan a visit in person. Given the strength Lin Yuan had shown, flattening his Blood Demon Sea was not a difficult task. Faced with such a powerhouse, the Blood Demon Master naturally knew what to do. "Is this one of your avatars?" Lin Yuan looked at the Blood Demon Master with keen interest. He was not the first ancient saint to visit Lin Yuan. Before him, the Ghost Cultivator King of the Nether Palace and the Demon Saint of the Demon Saint's Nest had already visited. They each had offered their core secret techniques in hopes of gaining Lin Yuan's protection. But to say they sought protection was not quite accurate. They merely hoped Lin Yuan would not strike against them. Lin Yuan naturally accepted all of them with a smile. These old ancient saints of refinement void who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years had many valuable secret techniques and teachings. "My lord, as my true body cannot leave the Blood Demon Sea, I had to send this incarnation." The Blood Demon Master suddenly grew anxious, thinking that Lin Yuan was blaming him for being rude. "Not to worry." Lin Yuan waved his hand. "My lord, this is the immortal Blood Sea skill. I've been practicing for a long time." The Blood Demon Master immediately presented a blood-colored jade slip. He then pledged his loyalty to Lin Yuan, saying that if Lin Yuan commanded, he would expand the Blood Demon Sea, invade the central divine continent, and battle the Dowd Immortal sect to the death. After sending the Blood Demon Master away, Lin Yuan began to study the immortal Blood Sea skill in the jade slip. To merge with the Blood Sea, immortal and indestructible. No wonder the Dowd Immortal sect has been unable to suppress it for hundreds of thousands of years. This skill already involves some techniques of the Unity Realm. Lin Yuan's expression turned slightly solemn. The Demon Saint's Nest and the Nether Palace were able to withstand suppression from the Dowd Immortal sect up to this day because the Demon Saint's Nest and the Nether Palace were powerful artifacts left by those who surpassed the void refinement limit tens of thousands of years ago. However, the Master of the Blood Demon Sea did not have these, relying solely on merging with the Blood Demon Sea to remain at large until now. Such technique, if only it could be slightly modified. Lin Yuan was rather tempted. The flaw of the immortal Blood Sea skill was that one could not leave the item to which one was merged. For example, the Blood Demon Master could not leave the range of the Blood Demon Sea because he was the Blood Demon Sea and the Blood Demon Sea was him. But with Lin Yuan's Against Heaven's understanding, it was not impossible to eliminate this flaw, albeit at the expense of weakening the immortal characteristic slightly. Years passed leisurely. 100 years flew by quickly. Bayou Island became increasingly prosperous, and the number of martial Dao cultivators also grew. In the Jun Dongjing territory, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan had a happy and stress-free life on Bayou Island. And now, Bayou Island's reputation had surpassed that of the Dowd Immortal sect, further elevating the status of Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan. Just then, a terrifying aura burst from the core area of Bayou Island. The magnitude of this aura seemed capable of suppressing all things. Across the billion-mile region of the East Sea, nature's spiritual energy began to tremble. The Demon Saint's Nest. The Demon Saint looked toward the direction of the East Sea in shock. "Has that lord broken through?" The Demon Saint murmured to himself. 100 years ago, that lord had the ability to hang up the Dowd Immortal sect and beat it. With another step forward, what level would he reach? The Nether Palace. The Ghost Cultivator King sighed. His gaze also turned toward the East Sea, pondering something. The Blood Demon Sea and the Blood Demon Master did the same. The Dowd Immortal sect. Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting felt the aura from the East Sea immediately, sprang from their seats, and looked toward the East Sea. As the breakthrough aura became more immense, Suddenly, countless beings, as if sensing something, looked unconsciously toward the direction of the East Sea. It was as if all the world, as one in gaze, watched a single man. Chapter 277, Ascension Platform.
Name, Yun Wuti, Li Yuen.
Identity. Holder of the Myriad Realms Gate. Bound talent. Heaven-defying comprehension. Divine skills. Blood rebirth. Current state. Consciousness descent. Remaining residency time. 220 years. At the core cave dwelling on Bayou Island, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his terrifying aura spreading through the void, rippling out in all directions as if it were ripples formed by a stone thrown into a calm body of water. This world. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked towards the direction of the Taoed Immortal Sect in the central divine continent. With his current understanding of space, no matter how far the distance, he could sense that deep within the Taoed Immortal Sect, space seemed to be torn open, suggesting some kind of incompleteness. It was as if there was a black dot suddenly appearing on a piece of white paper, which would stand out as extraordinarily prominent in Lin Yuan's vision. Is that the Ascension Platform, controlled by the Taoed Immortal Sect? Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. Compared to the final spatial rift in the Divine Arms world, this Ascension Platform's connected spatial passage seems much more stable and orderly. It was similar to the spatial passage formed by the crystal cube that the eldest senior brother brought out when Lin Yuan first broke through to the 6th rank, which allowed direct arrival at the Chikuan main star. Lin Yuan sat at the East Sea, observed the Ascension Platform at the Taoed Immortal Sect for a while, and then shifted his gaze away. The Ascension Platform, as of now, held no secrets for Lin Yuan. It was simply a stable space passage leading to a certain world. Of course, stable as it might be, it was still filled with a kind of spatial pressure, and only those of at least the 6th rank or refining void ancient Saint layer could pass through it. 280 years. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, having descended into this world almost 300 years ago, with just a fraction of the 500 years of residency time left. 60 years ago, I had already stepped into the 12th segment of the 6th rank. 50 years ago, I reached the peak of the 12th segment, and just now, I even managed to take a half step beyond the 12th segment. But the 7th rank, I still haven't figured it out. In 100 years, besides the Taoist immortal scripture from the Taoed Immortal Sect, Lin Yuan had comprehended all the techniques and secret arts of this world, and used their essence as nutrients to feed into the martial path evolutionary path. However, Lin Yuan understood that to truly start the 7th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path, he still lacked something. Despite having many references for the 7th rank evolution pathway to ponder, the 7th rank chapter that Lin Yuan wanted to create for the martial path evolutionary path would certainly be unique and perfectly fit for himself. 7th rank. Lin Yuan's expression was contemplative. In this world, the immortal cultivation system's realm corresponding to the 7th rank was the Tao integration stage. What is the Tao integration stage? To become one with the Tao, I am the Tao and the Tao is me. The Tao integration stage is also known as true immortal, which is a level truly belonging to immortals. Tao integration? Perhaps observing the Taoist immortal scripture will help my 7th rank chapter? Lin Yuan thought to himself. It has to be said that the immortal cultivation system indeed has exceptional aspects, and the farther along one gets, the more terrifying the powers wielded by those true immortals become. Unfortunately, the end of this cultivation system seems to have been occupied by a certain existence. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The immortal path prevails in this world, and it just so happens that an ascension platform connecting to the spirit realm, suitable for the immortal cultivation system, appears? How can this be merely coincidence? In the Dragon Tiger world, there were supreme beings from the upper realms making arrangements, leaving behind the true martial sword and the primeval demon spirit. And in this world, Lin Yuan still sensed traces of the meddling of even higher powers. Even if separated by worlds, even the supreme beings cannot traverse the gap through nothingness and will be subject to severe restrictions. At most, they can only lower their methods. Lin Yuan grew increasingly aware of the terror of the door to the myriad realms, a means that defied both space and time constraints to forcefully project oneself into a particular world, and deemed it inconceivable. To know, the door to the myriad realms can not only perform consciousness descent but also allow physical traversal, and as long as there is enough world-breaking origin force, it can even precisely lock onto and traverse to a specific world. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan got up, and his strength and realm had now reached a certain limit. Even if he continued to retreat, he might not gain anything in the next several decades or 100 years. This was not because heaven-defying comprehension was insufficient. Lin Yuan could open the 7th rank path now if he did not care about the potential. But there are differences between the 7th rank and the 7th rank. Some 7th rank evolution pathways have the potential. Some 7th rank evolution pathways, however, have no chance of ascending even to the 8th rank. Spiritual energy swirled around Bayou Island, and layers of formation light shielded the entire island. Wuji, Jun Dongjin, Mu Liener, Jun Xiaoyao, Jun Zhilan, and others, seeing Lin Yuan come out, greeted him promptly. The disturbance caused by Lin Yuan's recent breakthrough was not insignificant, as cultivators with a bit of strength everywhere in the world sensed it. Father, mother. Lin Yuan walked over. How are things on the island now? Lin Yuan asked casually. Spending most of his time in seclusion, Lin Yuan had left most of the affairs of the White Jade Pavilion to his disciples, as well as to his parents and elder brother and sister. However, Jun Dongjin and Mu Liener were not too keen on intervening in the affairs of the White Jade Pavilion, but Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan showed some interest. Master! Li Qing stepped forward. As Lin Yuan's disciple, she was primarily responsible for all affairs of the White Jade Pavilion. Even Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan were only helping her. Currently in the White Jade Pavilion, there are 16 million disciples at the 1st rank martial Tao, 890 million at the 2nd rank, 110,000 at the 3rd rank, 2,421 at the 4th rank stage martial Tao, and 24 at the 5th rank. Chapter 278. Li Qing paused for a moment, then whispered, "No disciple has yet cultivated to the 6th stage martial Tao." Indeed. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. The martial path evolutionary path had only been spreading for a little more than 200 years, yet it had already cultivated so many practitioners which could be considered rapid development. In fact, the fastest development of the martial path evolutionary path occurred in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, Lin Yuan, with an absolutely overwhelming manner, approached the gates of Daoed Immortal Sect. Even though he ultimately did not breach Mount Morality Immortal, who didn't know of his invincible might. Hence, the martial path evolutionary path propagated by Lin Yuan naturally attracted countless people, especially the heterodox and left paths from the Eastern Sea Islands, who were particularly eager to join White Jade Pavilion. 6th stage martial Tao. Even with Lin Yuan's guidance, White Jade Pavilion has yet to produce a 6th stage martial Tao practitioner. Lin Yuan was not surprised by this fact. The 6th rank corresponded to the ancient saint of refinement void. Even in the main world, the leap from the 5th to 6th rank was a threshold. The essence of life for 6th rank evolvers transformed, enabling them to imprint their life seals onto the cosmic starry skies. In this world, the ancient saint of refinement void was undoubtedly the ceiling of combat power. Even a strong force like Daoed Immortal Sect was mostly guarded by a single ancient saint. Actually, had it not been for Lin Yuan's sudden enlightenment in the main world, breaking the limitations of the martial path evolutionary path to make it inclusive of everything, otherwise, now not to mention 6th stage martial Tao, probably there would only be a few at the 4th or 5th stages. Not everyone possesses talent in the domain of Taiyin Taiyang Taiji. Next, I need to take a trip away. After chatting with his family and disciples for a while, Lin Yuan spoke up. Leaving. Mu Liener had a guess in her heart and tentatively asked, Wuji, are you thinking of going to Mount Morality Immortal? 100 years ago, Lin Yuan did not force his way into Mount Morality Immortal. 100 years later, after several breakthroughs, the purpose of Lin Yuan leaving Bayou Island is self-evident. Right? Lin Yuan nodded. Mount Morality Immortal was indeed one of his goals. Wuji. Mu Liener sighed, wanting to say more but hesitating. Mother, rest assured, I have a sense of measure in what I do. Lin Yuan comforted. His trip to Taoist Immortal Sect was indeed with the intent of negotiating. Of course, those eligible to negotiate with Lin Yuan could only be the ancestral masters of the spirit realm from Taoist Immortal Sect. Outside Bayou Island, the figure of Lin Yuan appeared.
Taoist Immortal Sect.
Lin Yuan glanced in the direction of the central divine continent. Before heading to Taoist Immortal Sect, Lin Yuan had another matter to attend to. That was the deep sea beneath the very Bayou Island. More precisely, it was the deep sea bottom underneath Bayou Island. The position of Bayou Island was not fixed. It would sink to the bottom of the deep sea every 2,000 years, and then resurface after another 2,000 years. Now, Bayou Island had already become the holy land for martial Tao cultivators. Even in the future, when the focal point of the martial arts system might shift to Central Divine Continent, the position of Bayou Island would still be irreplaceable. Just as in the main world, it is the same as the ancestral star, the mother star of the Human Civilization Alliance. The territory of the Human Civilization Alliance is vast, encompassing countless life planets. But there is only one ancestral star, the mother star. Its symbolic significance exceeds all else. In this scenario, if Bayou Island were to continue to follow the 2,000-year pattern of sinking and floating, it would naturally be somewhat inappropriate. The bottom of the deep sea. It was almost completely dark here. Terrible pressure from the sea bore down from all directions. Even nascent soul stage, divinity transformation stage cultivators didn't dare to stay in such an environment for long periods of time. What's more, in the bottom of the deep sea, the most terrifying thing is not the extreme environment, but rather those ancient and ferocious demonic beasts that have existed for tens of thousands of years. Following below Bayou Island, Lin Yuan came to the bottom of the deep sea. This place is a deep sea eye. Every 2,000 years, as sea water circulates, a tremendous suction force emerges, devouring vast amounts of sea water and conveying it to the other side of the East Sea. In an endless cycle, once every 2,000 years, Lin Yuan thought to himself. And Bayou Island was right above the eye of the sea. Whenever a suction force emerged, the island would uncontrollably sink until it reached the bottom of the deep sea and blocked the eye of the sea, only then stopping. Once the suction force disappeared, Bayou Island naturally floated back up. To resist this suction force isn't difficult. One just needs to seal this eye of the sea, he said. Not to mention an ancient saint of refinement void, even a Mahayana phase heaven lord could do it. Only, Lin Yuan glanced around. With his perception, he naturally noticed that many deep-sea behemoths with terrifying auras were nearby. Should he start sealing the eye of the sea, he would definitely alarm those deep-sea behemoths. With their enormous bodies and the fact they were in their home territory, even an ancient saint of refinement void, if surrounded by a group of deep-sea behemoths, would probably only be able to flee in a sorry state. But for Lin Yuan, of course, this wasn't an issue.
Seal.
Lin Yuan looked towards the eye of the deep sea, his mind slightly stirring, releasing strands of essence that began to seal the massive eye of the sea. Far away, many deep-sea behemoths noticed the disturbance. They immediately started to approach. The next moment, these deep-sea behemoths seemed to realize something. They fled at speeds tens of times faster than when they had approached. Quite astute, he said. Lin Yuan glanced at those deep-sea behemoths frantically fleeing. He had intentionally let out a small trace of his aura, which nearly scared the behemoths out of their wits. While the behemoths of the deep sea had low spiritual wisdom, they weren't stupid. Feeling an aura far surpassing their own, who would dare to approach? An hour later, Lin Yuan completely sealed the eye of the deep sea. He then left the seabed and headed in the direction of the central divine continent. Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan's form appeared without a sound. 100 years had passed, yet Mount Morality Immortal had not changed. But the disciples of the sect had obviously become much more low-key. If they had no important business, they almost never left Mount Morality Immortal. You two stay outside, he said. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, his mind slightly moving. An Yin spirit and Yang spirit emerged, standing on each side of him. Although with Lin Yuan's current strength, even if the Taoed Immortal Sect really did summon the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, it would likely be useless, posing no threat to Lin Yuan. But it's always best to be cautious, just in case. For safety, Lin Yuan decided to keep Yin Spirit and Yang Spirit outside. Lin Yuan's original self and Yin Spirit and Yang Spirit were united 3. As long as one still existed, the other 2 could be reborn, even if they were annihilated or fallen. Tai Yin giving rise to Tai Yang, or Tai Yang giving rise to Tai Yin. Finally, Taiji giving birth to all things, where all things refer to Lin Yuan's physical body. Leave a drop of essence blood outside, he said. Lin Yuan raised his right hand. A drop of crimson essence blood emerged, falling into the Yang spirit. Though Tai Yin and Tai Yang blended into Taiji, which in turn fostered the physical body, this method would take a considerable amount of time. And it would also consume some origin source. If he used essence blood instead, it would be much better. The physical body divine ability that Lin Yuan mastered, blood rebirth. Even with only a drop of fresh blood, he could quickly be reborn. Such was the power of divine skills. Now it's about time, he said. Lin Yuan looked at the preparations he made, a smile appearing on his face. With these precautions, even if the most unlikely situation occurred, he could recover as quickly as possible.
Daode Immortal Sect.
Lin Yuan turned his head, looking toward the immortal mountain not far off. The many sect protection arrays passed through Lin Yuan's eyes. If it had been 100 years earlier, Lin Yuan would have had to forcefully break through these sect protection arrays. But after 100 years, besides cultivating, he also refined his against heaven's understanding, completely grasping all the sect protection arrays of the Taoed Immortal Sect. 100 years ago, the combined strike of Lin Yuan's original Yang God and Yin God self was even aimed at observing the operation of the formation. Under the immense pressure caused by Lin Yuan's intervention, the Taoed Immortal Sect's many sect protection arrays operated beyond their capacity, allowing Lin Yuan to witness some of their essence. Through against heaven's understanding of these formation essences, Lin Yuan now could definitely be called the top formation master in the central divine continent. Especially regarding the many sect protection arrays of the Taoed Immortal Sect. He knew them like the back of his hand and could easily come and go as he pleased. Chapter 279 The Coordinates of the Spirit Realm. It's not impossible. Mount Morality Immortal. At the highest court, Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting's expressions were grave. Not long ago, a presence from the East Sea had transmitted over, causing the two of them to feel restless. If before, Mu Qinglu had great confidence in the ancestral protective formation of the Immortal Sect, believing that no one could break through and invade, the event 100 years ago, where Jun Wuji resembled a true immortal, splitting himself into 3 avatars and shaking Mount Morality Immortal to its core, changed that. Mu Qinglu then lost some of his confidence. At that time, he realized that Mount Morality Immortal could indeed be shaken by attack. And in the past 100 years, he sensed at least 3 times the breakthrough auras coming from the East Sea. Mu Qingliu's heart grew increasingly uneasy. 100 years ago, Jun Wuji nearly succeeded in breaching Mount Morality Immortal. Now another 100 years has passed, and if the enemy continued to act against the Taoed Immortal Sect, would Mount Morality Immortal still be able to stand? Mu Qingliu's expression grew even more solemn. In his heart, he already had the answer. It would not hold. Even 100 years ago, if Jun Wuji had decided to stay and suppress Mount Morality Immortal, with the strength of his true body and the 2 avatars, he completely could have gradually eroded the sect protection array of the Taoed Immortal Sect. A few 100 years of such, the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal might even break without attack. Sect Master. The ancestral masters of the spirit realm. What did they say? Mu Mengting was equally uneasy, and compared to Mu Qinglu, he felt even greater pressure. Who didn't know he was rivals with Jun Dongjin? He had even secretly sent someone with a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage to kill Jun Dongjin. Now that Jun Dongjin's son possessed such great capability, if Mount Morality Immortal were to be breached, could he possibly come to a good end? I have already spoken to the ancestral masters. The ancestors said, if Jun Wuji attacks the immortal mountain next time, we can contact him at any moment. Mu Qinglu said softly. Having witnessed Jun Wuji's capabilities threatening the Taoist immortal sect 100 years ago, he had already reached out to the ancestral masters of the spirit realm. That was the response from the ancestors at that time. In the recent decades, whenever Lin Yuan broke through, he would contact the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, always receiving the same reply. That's good. Mu Mengting sighed slightly with relief. The only ones who could provide him with a sense of security now were the lofty ancestral masters of the spirit realm. Actually, Mu Mengting felt quite aggrieved. Ancient saints of refinement void in the history of the Taoist immortal sect. Weren't they all lorded over everything, commanding heaven and earth? Even if the last generation's immortal sect leader were still alive, the newly born ancient saint would be showered in numerous honors and preside with authority. But his case was different. Just having broken through to the refining void period, becoming an ancient saint, he ushered in the darkest era for the Taoist immortal sect in tens of thousands of years. He nearly failed to protect his own immortal mountain's gates, causing all sect disciples to tremble with fear, and as an ancient saint of refinement void, he didn't even dare to leave the house, afraid that Jun Wuji might seize the opportunity to kill him. With the ancestral masters of the spirit realm present, that Jun Wuji, Mu Mengting was just about to spit out some harsh words. Suddenly, a voice transmitted over. I'm what? At that utterance, Mu Mengting froze for a moment, as if trying to figure out who had said those words. But the next instant, Mu Mengting started to tremble all over. For as he turned his head, he saw a figure appearing out of nowhere, seated on one side of the great hall. This figure had a calm countenance and did not emanate the slightest hint of a strong presence. But by merely standing there, it nearly suffocated Mu Mengting, the ancient saint of refinement void.
Jun Wuji.
This Jun Wuji. How did he get in? How did he appear here? Countless thoughts flashed through Mu Mengting's mind. At this moment he was utterly baffled. The sect protection array outside showed no sign of being alerted, nor had it been breached. How could Jun Wuji have entered? Jun Wuji. Mu Qinglu also saw Jun Wuji. His face turned slightly pale at this moment. However, no matter how frightened and uneasy Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting felt inside, they never thought about running. What a joke. Run? Where could they run to? This was the safest place in the Taoist immortal sect. If Jun Wuji could enter here without a sound, it was as if there was nothing in the world that could stop Jun Wuji anymore. All right, let's get down to business. Lin Yuan looked at Mu Qinglu. Take me to the ascension platform. The spread of martial Tao in this realm didn't give the Taoist immortal sect master much of a say. The main decision rested with the immortal sect ancestors of the spirit realm. This time Lin Yuan came to the Taoist immortal sect to negotiate with the ancestral masters of the immortal sect in the spirit realm. Okay. Mu Qinglu fell silent for a moment and immediately agreed. With Lin Yuan's strength, had he come with the intention to kill the moment he appeared in the hall, none of them would have survived. Given that, Mu Qinglu knew what he had to do. Follow me. In the end, Mu Qinglu took a deep look at Lin Yuan. He looked at the man who was once his own grandson. Sect Master, the ascension platform is actually my... Mu Mengting, seeing this, immediately became anxious. The ascension platform was key to contacting the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, the Taoist immortal sect's last trump card, and now they were just going to bring Jun Wuji to it? Be quiet. Lin Yuan glanced at Mu Mengting. In an instant, Mu Mengting's gaze dimmed, his vitality slipping away. Dead.
Mengting.
Seeing this, Mu Qinglu inwardly sighed. Mu Mengting already had a vendetta with the Jun family and had even sent people to kill Jun Dongjin and his family before. In such circumstances, if Mu Mengting had kept a low profile, trying as much as possible not to attract attention, perhaps he could have lived. But unfortunately, Mu Qinglu didn't know what to say. Didn't he see that even I was being so cooperative, still thinking about preserving the ascension platform? At the deepest part of the Taoist immortal sect, within a secret realm, Mu Qinglu stopped walking. This is where the ascension platform is kept. Chapter 280. Mu Qinglu looked at Lin Yuan and said softly, "Open." Lin Yuan nodded. This indeed matched the location of the rift in space he had sensed. Mu Qinglu was quite tactful, not scheming on this matter. Very well. What Mu Qinglu did not know was, if he had harbored any other intentions, Lin Yuan would have seen right through him. At Lin Yuan's current realm, space was like paper before him. He could clearly feel every fluctuation. Whoosh! Under Mu Qingliu's manipulation, the entrance to the secret realm was gradually being opened. The space inside revealed itself. At the deepest part of the space, a portal only half a meter tall, made of stone, came into view. Is that the ascension platform? Lin Yuan's gaze shifted there. This stone portal faintly had spatial fluctuations swirling around it, and the portal itself displayed a silvery white color. The instant Lin Yuan gazed at this portal, a majestic and grand door to the myriad realms in the depths of his mind suddenly began to glow. Seemingly invisible fluctuations swept over the distant ascension platform. A moment later, a stream of information from the door to the myriad realms was transmitted to Lin Yuan's mind. Oh! Lin Yuan was slightly startled. He glanced at Mu Qinglu next to him. He noticed that Mu Qinglu had not perceived any of the recent changes. It was as if the power sweeping out from the door to the myriad realms existed in another dimension, unnoticed by anyone. Coordinates of the spirit realm. Lin Yuan rubbed his brow. The information transmitted from the door to the myriad realms was indeed the coordinates of the spirit realm. At this very moment, Lin Yuan partially immersed his consciousness into his mind. He gazed at that majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. If one were to observe, they would find that near the threshold of the door to the myriad realms, there existed 5 seals. These 5 seals represented the coordinates of the martial world, dragon tiger world, divine arms world, 5 regions world, and the current immortal Tao world. These 5 worlds, all of which Lin Yuan had once traversed, were thus locked onto by the door to the myriad realms, capturing their coordinates. Because of this, armed with the world coordinates, Lin Yuan could spend 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to revisit these worlds. But now, following those 5 world coordinate seals, a 6th world coordinate seal formed anew. It was the spirit realm's world coordinates. Although Lin Yuan had not descended into the spirit realm, the ascension platform was connected to the spirit realm, and it naturally contained the spirit realm's coordinates inside. The force from the door to the myriad realms had just swept the ascension platform, copying its internal world coordinates. Spirit realm. Lin Yuan's expression was slightly odd. Theoretically, with the spirit realm's coordinates, Lin Yuan could return to the main world and spend 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to descend to the spirit realm once more. Seeing Lin Yuan intently looking at the ascension platform, Mu Qinglu did not dare to urge him, and could only continue to wait. Let your immortal sect ancestors come down. Lin Yuan waited patiently for a while, confirming that there were no other world coordinates inside the ascension platform. Then he spoke. Ah? At these words, Mu Qinglu was slightly shaken. He didn't expect Lin Yuan to be so forthright, giving him time to summon the ancestral masters of the spirit realm. Very well. Mu Qinglu hesitated for a moment, then agreed. After all, this was what Lin Yuan had asked him to do. Whatever happened later had nothing to do with him. Mu Qinglu entered the secret realm and approached the ascension platform, his demeanor respectful, employing a secret technique, his lips barely moving as if uttering some words. A moment later, the ascension platform began to glow. Spatial fluctuations started to intensify, as if a terrifying power was piercing through 2 worlds, descending along a fixed spatial passage. In front of the ascension platform, the figure of a Taoist wearing a Taoist robe slowly materialized. I am Tsangqing Immortal. Are you the one who wishes to see me? The Taoist's figure was ethereal as he looked at Lin Yuan with a smile on his lips. A strand of projection from a unity realm true immortal? Lin Yuan was similarly observing the other party. The spirit realm and the central divine continent were separated by two realms. Even the most powerful beings from the upper realm could not descend to the lower realms in their true form. At most they could send down a projection. This projection could not stray too far from the ascension platform. Otherwise, it might lose connection with its main body in the upper realm and directly collapse. Songqing Immortal looked at Lin Yuan. The more he observed, the more shocked he felt inside. Mu Qinglu had already informed him about the numerous pieces of intelligence regarding Lin Yuan, such as cultivating for hundreds of years, surpassing the peak of refined void, and simultaneously creating another cultivation system not inferior to the immortal path, and so on. Songqing Immortal had also relayed this intelligence to the other ancestors of the Taoist Immortal sect. All the ancestors unanimously believed that Lin Yuan must have been seized by some powerful being from tens of thousands of years ago. Otherwise, in the central divine continent, progressing to this extent alone without the support of the Taoist Immortal sect was nearly impossible. Especially the martial Tao cultivation system, with such a conception and potential not inferior to the immortal path cultivation system, how could it be created in just a few hundred years? It must be those powerful beings who reincarnated, those who lived through the long ages, experienced many eras, obtained this martial Tao cultivation system, and are now beginning to spread it, thus stirring up a series of movements within the central divine continent. This was the truth conjectured by the ancestral masters of the immortal sects from the spirit realm. The reason Songqing Immortal descended his projection to the lower realm this time was that among the ancestors of the Taoist Immortal sect through the ages, Songqing Immortal had lived the longest and knew the most old monsters. Perhaps he could identify which powerful being had taken over Lin Yuan. As long as they understood Lin Yuan's origins, everything would be easy to handle. However, now, Songqing Immortal was somewhat dazed, because from his observations, Lin Yuan's soul and body were in perfect harmony. He didn't seem to have been seized at all. It's known that even if a true immortal of the merged path performed a seizure, there would be a slight rejection due to the different origins of the soul and body. Based on this kind of rejection, it was very easy to identify the seizer's identity. But now, there was absolutely no such sense of rejection in Lin Yuan. There were two possibilities. One was that the projection he had descended was too weak, so much so that it could not detect that kind of rejection from the seizure. The second was that Lin Yuan had not been seized. Songqing Immortal felt that the first possibility was not likely. The projection he had descended, even if weak, was still that of a Unity Realm true immortal. With his insight, he naturally could see that Lin Yuan had not stepped into the Unity Realm. With such a difference in realms, Songqing Immortal did not believe he could miss the sense of rejection from a seizure. Since the first possibility was ruled out, that left the second possibility. Lin Yuan reaching today's status, growing in a few hundred years to be the strongest in this realm, and even pioneering a cultivation system not inferior to the immortal path, was all by himself. Who would have thought that such a monstrous talent would emerge from the barren lower realms? Songqing Immortal quietly watched Lin Yuan. Even in the spirit realm, such aptitude would only be found in the core disciples of the immortal king-level forces, and even pioneering a unique cultivation system distinct from the way of immortals, this potential. Songqing Immortal's thoughts were churning. Without a doubt, Lin Yuan's potential was absolutely the most monstrous he had witnessed, even surpassing those immortal princes or even some immortal kings during their youth. After all, Lin Yuan had reached such achievements in the lower realms, while those immortal princes and young immortal kings grew up in the vast spirit realm. The two simply couldn't compare. So you wish to spread the martial Tao cultivation system in the central divine continent? Songqing Immortal looked at Lin Yuan and slowly said. Next to him, Mu Qingliu's mind tensed upon hearing his ancestor utter these words. He vividly remembered when he first relayed the intelligence and intentions about Lin Yuan to the ancestors, the enormity of the... Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today.